Alright, in this video I'm going to be replacing the upper and lower ball joints in my 2012 Nissan Pathfinder. Should be similar to a Frontier or an Xterra as well. And one thing to note, it is specific to a four-wheel drive version, so if you have a rear-wheel drive only, it's a little bit different. These are the parts I got. Obviously there's two, one for each side for the upper and one for each side for the lower. It's all Moog, and I got everything from Rock Auto. I've already got these marinating in PB Blaster, and for this I do remove the tie rods, although it's not maybe necessary, but I think it is easier to do it that way. And before I do anything, I'm going to remove the braking components. Now I do both sides, but I only show the driver's side in full just because the video is so long. In the back half I do the passenger side, but I do a bit of a shorter version. So timestamps and links in the description. First thing I'm doing is removing the slide pins for the brake caliper, and then I'm going to hang the brake caliper throughout this entire job. To hang the brake caliper, I just use a ratchet strap and then just throw it over the upper control arm, and that is good enough to keep it out of the way. And some of these anti-rattle springs for the brakes are broken, so I'm gonna have to come back and replace some of those later, but I couldn't find them locally. Obviously, once I've got the caliper up and out of the way, I'll pull these pads out and just throw them aside for now. I find the caliper mounting bracket bolts are pretty tight. They get torqued down to 136 foot-pounds, so generally they are hard to get off. Anyway, it's a 19 mil, and then I use a dead blow to get them going. And once they get moving, I find that they're pretty easy to take off. And now I'm going to remove the cotter pin and the axle nut. I do buy new axle nuts and cotter pins from Nissan. I usually replace fasteners even though these ones are pretty new, and that's a 32 mil, and obviously I'm using the impact to get that off. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the cotter pin and nut for the tie rod. This one is pretty easy to remove. Mine is a 22 millimeter nut. However, these are aftermarket, so you may have something else. I do make a minor mistake here, and that is to fully remove the tie rod. It's actually better to leave it in, even if you leave it loose, and I'll show you why in a second. But I would just loosen it up and just leave it like that with the tie rod loose, but I take it all the way off. Because I'm going to remove the entire steering knuckle, I'm going to remove the speed sensor for the wheel, and that goes down and attaches to the wheel bearing. Now I'm going to remove the cotter pin and nut for the upper ball joint, which is up and attached to the upper control arm. That is also a 22 mil. And this is the reason why I attached the tie rod back up. I found that when I was trying to remove the bolt for the upper ball joint, it was just moving the entire steering knuckle too much, but with that tie rod still attached, it did not have that problem. And then once the nut was off for the upper ball joint, I just took a crowbar and popped it out. On the other side, I use a hammer. At this point, I go back and I fully remove the tie rods. I don't need that attached anymore, and you do need to pull out the CV axle as well. And I found with the tie rod off and the upper ball joint removed, it was pretty easy to get the CV axle out. Now I'm going to remove this upper ball joint. So there is a very rusty spring clip on there. So I'll take that off, and then I'm going to use this press that I got from Amazon. Now, I do have some problems with this press. It's not perfect. I will put a link in the description, and it does get the job done for the upper and lower. I just found it was very difficult to get the sizing right, and in the end, that C-clamp should be about 1 inch larger than it is based on the attachments that they give you. Like I said, I'm able to press everything out and press everything back in, but every time I pressed a ball joint in or out, I just felt like the right combination of attachments were not there. So I'm not too thrilled with that press. Anyway, once the upper ball joint is pressed out, I'll get the new ball joint. And like I said, they're all Moog products. I'm not a fan of Moog necessarily, but they were available. And they all come with grease fittings, so I'll put the grease fitting in, and I do jam a little bit of grease in there before I install them. They seem to already come with a factory green grease, and I'm just using a product called Red and Tacky, and I think that that is a Finish Line product, but I don't really remember. So like I said, I'm going to figure out how to press this thing in, and this is the sequence of attachments I found that would allow that to happen. And just one thing to note, it does help to have a breaker bar and not just a ratchet. I found that the ratchet didn't give you enough leverage in some cases. So just make sure that the ball joint is fully pressed in. And if they go in too easy, you may need to replace your entire control arm. And in fact, looking at the Haynes manual, it indicates that you're actually supposed to replace the whole control arm and not press these ball joints in or out. But anyway, clearly you can press the ball joints in and remove them as well. So I did put the spring clip onto the ball joint so that it can't back itself out. And now I'm going to move on to the lower ball joint on the driver's side. Now this is a bit of a pain. I had to go get a 21 mil deep socket for the impact because I didn't have one handy. And it eventually gets this nut off. The driver's side I found was much more difficult to get off than the passenger side, but also not the craziest. You can see it's absolutely smoking there just because of how much rust is on the bolt. Now, for whatever reason, the bolt side of this is a 17 mil, and I tried to use the impact on this side just to get the bolt moving, and it doesn't have the power to do it. I then go to a 5-pound sledge and absolutely hoon on this bolt, and that doesn't do it either. And then I take the air hammer and I try to separate the steering knuckle a little bit, and that doesn't immediately help. But after a few more smacks with the 5-pounder and then coming in with the air hammer on the bolt, it comes out. So there you go. It was a bit of a pain, and definitely do not anticipate reusing these bolts. To separate the lower ball joint from the steering knuckle, I'm using a ball joint separator, link in the description. And it's a little bit difficult because the ball joint is actually recessed inside of the steering knuckle. So what I did was put a nut inside of the steering knuckle to push up on the ball joint. And then once that pushed the ball joint up enough, I took a small socket from a socket set and put that inside the steering knuckle. And then at that point, I was using the socket to push the ball joint upwards through the steering knuckle. And then to finish it off, I did hit the steering knuckle a few times with the hammer, and that popped it clean. And this is probably why Nissan charges $1,500 just to do the lower ball joints on this thing. And that's what the ball joint looks like. You can see that it's pretty rusty, but I think that this is an aftermarket one because the other side does not have that grease fitting on it. So at some point someone changed this ball joint, and I think that this is the one that failed actually. So I'll go in and I'll get that spring clip off. And like I said, I did have a lot of problems just finding the right combination of attachments to use with this press kit. And eventually I did find something that would work. Obviously, this one gets pressed straight down. And then once it gets moving, I just found it was easier to smack it a few times with the hammer. And there's the ball joint. It has come out. You can really see that I get the most out of these gloves. And I will do the exact same thing with the lower ball joint, basically take off that red plug and then put the grease fitting on. And then like I did with the other one, I'll just jam a little bit of grease in there. I found that there wasn't actually that much rust where the ball joint mounts up, so I didn't really get in there with the wire brush or anything like that. And obviously insert the ball joint, and then we're going to press it into place, getting pressed from the bottom up and in. And when you're pressing your new ball joints in, make sure that you're pressing on the body of the ball joint up and in and not on the shaft of the ball joint. And also be careful with the grease fittings if you got them on as well. I found that you were able to avoid the grease fitting even with it on there. So I'm going to use another jack to lift up the steering knuckle until the ball joint is pressed into the steering knuckle far enough that I can get the pinch bolt through. You can see how that pinch bolt fits in with the ball joint. So you do need to be cognizant of that cutout in the ball joint. And obviously it needs to be exactly where that pinch bolt is going to go through. So with the pinch bolt in, I'll throw the nut on the pinch bolt. Now for everything, I'm just putting it in place. I'm not actually torquing anything down at this point. Just getting it back together, and then I'm going to torque everything down at the end. So I did get a new 32 millimeter nut for the axle. So I'll get that on there. And I got the axle nuts from Nissan, whereas most of the other parts, like the Moog stuff, came from Rock Auto, like I said. And just make sure you don't forget to attach the wheel speed sensor. This sensor is critical for your ABS system. And once that is done, really no particular order at this point, I'll put in the tie rod and throw that castle nut on. Once again, just hand tight. And then I'm going to pull down on the upper control arm until it fits through the upper part of the steering knuckle. And then I'll put the castle nut on and I'll tighten that one down. Now I found that this one went on well, whereas on the passenger side, I do have some difficulty getting this castle nut on, just because I found that the ball joint would spin on the passenger side, but no problems on the driver's side. Now the torque spec for the lower ball joint I'm using is 94 foot-pounds, which is in line with the Haynes manual, but a little bit different from what Moog is saying for their parts, but I went with Haynes in this case. And then for the tie rod, I am using 37 foot-pounds. And then obviously I'm going to apply the cotter pin. For the axle nut, you can see that I've got a crowbar in place, and that's so the axle doesn't spin while I'm tightening it up, and I'm using 101 foot-pounds for that. And then I'm going to be using a new cotter pin on the axle nut. With the axle nut in, I'm going to raise the steering knuckle up, and I'm going to tighten down the upper ball joint with the control arms and steering knuckle at approximately ride height. And the torque specification I'm using for the upper ball joint is 58 foot-pounds. And then once again, it comes with a new cotter pin, so I'll put a cotter pin in. I then put the brake rotor on, as well as one lug nut just to keep the brake rotor from falling off. I take the brake caliper mounting bracket and I put that on, and I torque those bolts down to 136 foot-pounds. So that's the highest torque spec in this whole process. So you will need a torque wrench that goes up to 136 foot-pounds. I'll then put the old brake pads back in after I clean them up a little bit. And then obviously I'll put the caliper back in place. The caliper has two slide pin bolts, and those bolts only get torqued down to 20 foot-pounds. And that's pretty much a wrap on this job. Now, I actually did this over 2 days. I did the driver's side in one day, and then the next day I came back and did the passenger side. And that's really because of how rusted up everything was. And it was also pretty hot out working in the sun. I think it was about 90 Fahrenheit. So it wasn't ideal work conditions. But anyway, checking everything out here. Axle, nut, and cotter pin in. All the brake components are all bolted in. Upper ball joint has the castle nut with the cotter pin, tie rod, castle nut, and cotter pin, and then down low on the lower ball joint. Obviously, the pinch bolt is in place, and it's looking good. And then last thing, of course, is to look at the wheel speed sensor or ABS sensor and make sure everything's hooked up. So good to go, and you can see I ended up using a lot of tools. So you do need quite a lot of tools to get this job done. You could probably do it with a little bit less, but this is about what you need. So a bit of a pain, and I could definitely see why Nissan charges about $1,500 to do the two lower ball joints. Now, as promised, I do the passenger side in a shorter abridged version here. So I'll take the cotter pin off the axle, and then for this one, I'm just going to use a breaker bar to get the axle nut off. I put lug nuts back in, and then just jammed a crowbar in there to make sure the axle didn't spin while I was getting that axle nut off. I then remove the cotter pin from the tie rod and just loosen it. I don't fully separate the tie rod. So there you go. I hit it with a hammer as well this time and get it loose, but then I just leave it like that. Now I'm going to go up top and remove the cotter pin off the upper ball joint. And then take the 22 mil on a breaker bar and get the nut off the upper ball joint. And to loosen it up on this side, I just take a hammer and smack the spindle on the ball joint. I find that these electrical connectors are an absolute pain to separate, even though these ones are actually pretty new, pretty difficult. So good luck. That actually might be the hardest part of this job. And just like the other side, I'm just getting that electrical connector off because once the steering knuckle comes off, it will just be hanging on that connector. So I remove the spring clip from the ball joint, and now I'm pressing the ball joint up. So you can see I'm actually pressing straight onto the spindle, which you're not supposed to do, but just based on the size of the clamp, just like on the other side, I had difficulties with this particular clamp. I would get one that's a little bit bigger if possible. Basically, I'm not a fan of this ball joint press kit that I bought, but like I said, it did the job. So with the ball joint out, I'll take the new ball joint once again and put in the new grease fitting. Oddly enough, the upper ball joint takes a 8 mil for the grease fitting, and the lower ball joint, they take a 10 mil. I don't know why, but that is what it is. So now using the press kit, I'm going to press in the upper ball joint, and really you just got to make sure that the ball joint is going in evenly, and it's very obvious, you can see it as it goes in, so it shouldn't be a surprise if it starts going in not evenly. And obviously you want to drive it all the way in as well. And like I said, we'll do in the driver's side, You want to make sure that those are going in tight. If it's super loose on the way in, you probably need a new control arm. So I will put on the spring clip. The upper ball joint pressed in, I'll get the axle out of there. Now I just need to remove the pinch bolt, which is obviously this nut and bolt combo on the bottom. So once again, take the 21mm and I'll remove the nut from the pinch bolt. And it comes off pretty easily. This side is easier than the driver's side for whatever reason. So I've got the nut off, and then obviously once again take the 17mm, and this time I am able to get the bolt moving with the impact, but I do go in with the air hammer and try to separate the steering knuckle a little bit anyway, and then I just take a few taps with this hammer and it pops the bolt through without any difficulty. So much easier on the passenger side. And there is the bolt out. The Moog products actually come with new nuts and bolts, so you'll already have them if you buy the Moog product. And on this side, I did the exact same things. So I took a nut and I put that up inside the steering knuckle to start getting this ball joint moving. And then I switch over and I use a socket once the nut went too far inside the steering knuckle. And then once it's almost all the way out, it's still pretty difficult to remove it. But I take the small sledge again and just give it a few smacks and that steering knuckle comes off. And then I'm going to remove this spring clip, which is super rusty. And yes, it does almost hit me in the eye. And now I can press out this bearing. And just like the other side, the bearing gets pressed down and out. All of these bearings are difficult to press in as well as to remove. So the control arms are still quite tight. Like I said, a regular ratchet wouldn't do it. I had to go to the breaker bar in pretty much all cases. But once it gets moving, a few taps with the hammer pops it out. No problem. So everything should be familiar at this point. Put in the grease fitting, add a little grease, shove it up inside the control arm, and this time I actually take the hammer and I give it a few smacks on the bottom to push it up and get it seated so it doesn't fall out, and then I use the press kit. As mentioned, I'm pressing on the body of the ball joint and not on the spindle, and then on the top side I'm not even touching the ball joint, it's just pressing on the control arm. So I'll get this press out of the way, and once again just make sure that that ball joint is fully pressed in. And just as a demonstration with the air hammer, this is where I was using it to separate the steering knuckle and make it a little bit easier to remove that pinch bolt. And now I use the jack to lift the steering knuckle up and into the lower ball joint until I could actually get that pinch bolt through. Once that bolt's in, I'll feed the axle back through the wheel bearing, and then I'll take the tie rod and I will reconnect the tie rod. Obviously putting the castle nut back on so the tie rod doesn't just drop out. With the tie rod installed, I'll take the 32mm axle nut and I'll put that back on. This is also a new axle nut that I picked up from Nissan. And then finally, I'll press down on the upper control arm so that the ball joint goes back down and through the steering knuckle. And then I'll take that castle nut and I will put it on. So like I said, I do have problems with this castle nut, and it actually seems like the castle nut is the problem. And what I end up doing in this case is using the nut from the old upper ball joint. And it seems to work without an issue, so I don't actually use the castle nut that came with it. And now I'm just going to get everything down to torque spec. So once again, take that axle nut, torque it down to 101 foot-pounds, 37 foot-pounds on the tie rod, and then on the lower ball joint, the torque specification that I use is 94 foot-pounds, and on the upper ball joint, I use 58 foot-pounds. Obviously, I'm going to do the brakes, but upper ball joint, nut and cotter pin, axle, nut and cotter pin, check the bolts, and that's pretty much it. Obviously tie rod, bolt and cotter pin as well. Anyway, that's a wrap on this job. It was pretty time consuming. Thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.